Sean, you don't feel obligated.
Yeah. He wants to talk game one starter.
I need to shave. I hope they sweep. Just for the sake of asking your reaction to the Nick being fined by the Pac-12.
Well, I think we've dealt with that sufficiently with our statements, his statement, the Pac-12's response. Obviously, we have an immeasurable respect for the conference, for the officials, for Washington State, their coaches, their administrators, their players, their fans, and with that, we've all moved on. I support Nick 100%. We made a mistake, we owned up to it, and we've all moved forward.
Sam.
Yes. How much has Marcus Mariota improved?
I couldn't hear you.
I'm sorry.
No.
Barely, huh? Okay. How much has Marcus Mariota improved this season, and just how much better could this guy get?
That's a great question. That's kind of that everlasting chase that we're kind of on is trying to chase perfection or whatever that word is. I think Marcus has improved for sure. I think the whole group around him has improved. The wideouts are playing at a higher level. They're more precise. We've still had a ton of drops on a bunch of easy things. But I think just our efficiency has gone up a little bit in the past game from a group standpoint. And when you're running routes exactly where you're supposed to and getting it out on time and protecting well, it's a good thing. And that's an 11-man job. And sometimes that guy gets a little bit too much credit, sometimes too much blame for the good or the bad of it. But yeah, that's something that's neat about him is it's not I've arrived at any point. And that's a neat thing to be a part of.
AJ.
Coach, clearly the UCLA offense obviously goes through their quarterback, and he's a huge part of that. But what else are Duck fans going to see on Saturday that are strong elements from that UCLA offense?
Well, they're good across the board. They've got a lot of younger guys on the perimeter. I think Peyton, Fuller, Duarte, Shaq Evans is obviously an older guy, but there's a lot of younger, a lot of young talent, very similar to us. A lot of younger guys outside there, and then their trigger man is really good. They've had a couple of injuries up front, but they're very, very talented, very deep. This is a really deep team on both sides of the ball. They've played a bunch of guys on the offensive line, and some people look at that as a bad thing. I think it's really a strength when a bunch of those guys have gotten game experience, and it doesn't sound like any of their injuries are too long term, which is good for them.
Andrew.
When we watch all the penalties you guys have, are all of them created equal, or do you see some and say, well, we can easily get rid of those, or those are just effort mistakes, or how do you classify them differently? Because there have been quite a few the last few weeks, but I'm not sure if they all ring true for you.
Yeah, every penalty is different. Pre-snap penalties in general are never good on either side of the ball. We had a couple procedures with our offensive line late. Had two guys jump offside right, had a hold. And a couple, the hold, is a little bit of technique, a little bit of silliness. Had one personal foul, I think was absolutely a correct call and was not good. That's my fault. Had one that I think we'd all see otherwise. And then there's a lot of penalties again that happen that aren't kind of discipline related. They're either effort things or just one technique thing that we're hammering on every single day. So yes, I think all penalties are not created equal from that standpoint.
Mark, you mentioned the other night you might have gone 5 for 5 with this offensive line class. What's the science behind looking at a 16, 17-year-old guy and projecting when they're 20, 21, how good they're going to be?
It's a great question, and I don't know. And if somebody knows the answer, we'd like it. But that's just it. There's the science of everything that we try to do behind the scenes from a background check and trying to find out everything we can about this guy from an academic standpoint, from a character standpoint, attitude, how he works, all the things that you try to find out in addition to just the film. And then, like you said, you're trying to look at this guy who's maybe 6'4", 252 in high school, and trying to project that guy. And there's some science behind body types and how a guy's going to grow, but it's the rate to hit on offensive linemen is probably way lower than any of us would like to admit. But I really like usually by this time in a freshman class, you're like, well, that guy's a bust, or these two guys or whatever. But I think all five of those guys have a really, really big chance and a big opportunity to be great players.
AJ.
Coach, this last game, Marcus for the first time had trouble holding on to the ball a couple times. In hindsight, looking back at that stuff, are these things that were correctable?
Absolutely. One of them we had, and I said the other night, I'll take 100% blame for the one of them. We had a situation where we were kind of trying to run a double move, and one of us thought we were calling the double move, one of us didn't, and that's on coaches. That's my fault. Communication, stuff like that, that's on us. That's on me. The other one, he's trying to make a little something when it wasn't there, and just throw it away, or run and get two or take a sack would probably have been the best option in that situation. But again, the fact that this has become the biggest deal in the history of the world is more evidence of how great that guy is. To have your first turnover, seventh game into the season, that's we're not going to punish him too badly.
Sean.
How much of a UCLA Stanford have you had a chance to watch, and what is it that UCLA struggled with that game in your mind?
Well, defensively, they didn't struggle too much. They made him earn everything, had that big turnover down right near the goal line. Stanford made a couple that, phenomenal, the Sports Center highlight one-handed catch. You can't really defend that. And they made a couple other big plays one-on-one in the passing game on the perimeter. But they're outstanding. I think both defenses played really, really well, trying to bounce back from the week before. And just, Stanford made a couple more plays at the end, a couple more special teams, kind of situational big gains in terms of field position swings and that kind of thing. And it was one of those kind of grinded out games. But they're an outstanding defense. I think this is the deepest defense we've played. I think their front seven, they play a ton of guys on both levels that are really talented. Anthony Barr gets the vast majority of the praise, and he's a fantastic, unbelievable football player. And then there's three more guys at that level. They're a 3-4 team as well, and they're really good. So it's a huge challenge on both sides of the ball. Obviously, the ball will be a big thing in this game, just from a taking care of it and turnover standpoint, and then special teams will be huge.
Jay Allen.
Hey, Coach, I don't have last year's stats right in front of me, so correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like you're throwing it more this season, especially down the field. Is that something conscious you guys have been doing, or is it just kind of how games have unfolded, from week to week?
I think it's much more the latter. I couldn't tell you what our stats are either, and that's we've never sat down, and go, hey, we need to do this X percent or that Y percent. It's just not, we do exactly what you said of, hey, here's defense A, here's how we're going to attack them. These are our best players, and here's our best, kind of fit here and there, and then the product comes out. Sometimes it's running it, sometimes it's throwing it, and that's it. It's not we're going to try not to bang our head against a brick wall. If we know the brick wall's right there, we might go around the brick wall, or whatever the case may be.
Eric Elkin.
Jim Mora was quoted this morning as hoping for a supplemental draft before Saturday that Marcus could get
that way
taken.
Anthony Barr can come out.
I guess, so that Marcus could get taken out. This might be a bit of a stretch, but when you get a little bit of interaction with the opposing head coaches before games, what do you guys talk about? And is it something like, are those the kind of comments that are made?
Well, see, I'm the rookie in that department, so that's one thing I'm fascinated by too. Is like, what do you hey, how's your family? Oh, I don't have any kids. Oh, really? Sorry, my fault. whatever that banter is, I'm still in the young stages of my career, but yeah, I mean, there's some sort of Coach Moore. I have a ton of respect for him, and every interaction I've had with him he's a very impressive guy, high class guy, and they've done a great job there. And by the same token, they have an outstanding defense, an outstanding football team, and there might be some banter about something along those lines.
Have you gotten one yet this season with a guy like Marcus or D'Anthony from some of the other coaches?
Gosh, I don't know. There's there's always back and forth. Depends how well you know the other guy too.
John.
Coach, if you can't talk about your D line a bit and how important their job is Saturday to kind of put pressure on Hundley, get him out of the pocket.
Yeah, huge. I think our defensive line just again of they've got a couple young guys up front that they've done a really good job to this point this year of protecting, of running the football, of being balanced, or at least the appearance of being versatile and being balanced. And that's a big strength of our football team is our D line, and those guys this needs to be a huge game for them, as well as it's a huge challenge for our offensive line against their defensive line. They're outstanding up front, led by Cassish Marsh, which I can't even pronounce that name, but that's been a big focus this week, as it is most weeks.
Over here, Sam.
Getting back to Mariota again, his teammates have said that he will not mention the word Heisman. How has he handled the hype, in your opinion?
He's been great. I mean, he's been that's one of the best things about Marcus, and kind of going back to the question about the turnovers is that guy. He has no off switch, and he when it's Wednesday in period 17, he wants to win. He wants to compete. He wants to get better. And when your marquee players are that good of workers, that's contagious, and then that spreads to your third string left guard who wants to be a better scout team player. And so from that standpoint, his practices have been outstanding. He had another great practice today. He did throw an interception. It was dropped, went through receiver's hands, but the other team caught it. So just the update there. But he's been Marcus.